Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to the New Year's Interpro at the RDS is someone earning his 41st Harpin cap. Welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
How are we? I hope Christmas was a great one. I am 73% ham right now, and we've reached a milestone. We are at a cap for every year I've been on this earth. So what a day for everyone. What a day for the parish.
Indeed, this is it. And but before we start talking on this week's feature match, there was a documentary on RTE1, the national broadcaster, just last night. Just kind of reminisced over something that happened during the year. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. I managed to watch it today. I actually was putting it off because I did not want to get so emotional in front of my family, or more emotional at this than Christmas. So I watched it this morning, and so many things stood out. Obviously, the emotion of the day, we forget a lot of the nuance and a lot of the bits and pieces as we were watching along. But the thing that stood out to me, and it's without being disrespectful to any former managers, leaders, coaches, was the moments where Farrell and the crew were able to focus the team and able to let the team chill. There'll be moments where they push the A team to say, look, that's only the start now. We're delighted for you, but that's only the beginning of your journey. And then the senior team, after the big win, they go, right, lads, we'll put everything else to one side. This is the moment you've got to think about. And when you listen to Farrell talking about the game plan, he's not talking minute to minute, he's talking second to second. And the amount of emotional and mental energy that it goes into how he wants the guys to play, and to give them that release valve. Really, I got so excited for the thing that cannot be named right now, the rugby version of Voldemort. We're on Harry Potter inside. But it made me even more excited. And to finish with Sexton saying, it all means nothing if we don't progress. And there's a look in his eye. And only when you get up in years, you see the things, there's less in his rugby career than has been. And you know that what that means to him. So I was emotional doing Excel spreadsheets today. I got excited. I got happy. I got confident, but not overly confident. I enjoyed it far too much.
Yeah, they definitely struck the right tone, especially with the ending. And I mean, it's that time of year when, it's that limbo between Christmas and New Year's, when you start looking back in the year. And especially when it comes to sport, it's looking back over the sporting year. And this was perfectly timed because, I mean, Leinster, not just Leinster fans, all Irish rugby fans, that's the abiding memory from the year. That was the big moment of the year. And we've moved on, and other things have happened, and a new season has started, and we're in that bubble at the moment. But it was a good way of just bringing us back to that time, and what a big deal that was, and to get a look at it from behind the scenes as well. It was really well done.
Yeah, absolutely magic. And you kind of go, we forget that there's the amount of times we've played them, the amount of trips that have gone down. I hadn't forgotten about the 60-0. I'd forgotten about the middle test. I'd forgotten about that drop goal. And maybe the damage done by 60-0 makes you want to eradicate that entire tour, but you forget how close we were at different points, and that we weren't quite capable of keeping the foot down. Whereas even I remember you and I talking after the first test, and we were kind of going, right, okay, the scoreline wasn't fantastic, but we were kind of going, look, it's inches here. It's not a mile. It's inches here, and you could see that progressing through the tour. The lack of worry that we had was interesting when compared to the Lenihan and the Michael guy and all those guys. They were legitimately worried after that first test, whereas when we all caught up, whether it was a pointer on the pod, we were positive, and that was reflected by the lads in the squad as well. It was absolutely magic. And I've got to remain calm now. I haven't bet any winter heating budgets on anything, but I'm pretty close.
Absolutely. Well, you talked about the age we are and the memories we have from tours gone by. That kind of makes it annoying somehow that you've got kids now that are watching New Zealand. Like, I've beaten the All Blacks. Sure, we've been doing that for years, and it's just not the same. You have to remember all the heartache from years gone by. But anyway, listen, if you haven't seen it, check it out. I think it's available on RTE Player, and no, I've made fun of our G player in the past on the pod, but it's definitely worth catching up on. Okay, so now it's time to start harping on this week's feature match, which, as you can see up there, is Leinster v Connacht. It's in round 11 of the 22-23 BKT United Rugby Championship, and it kicks off at the RDS at 7:35 p.m. on Sunday, January the 1st. The match can be seen on the telebox on RTE2, Viaplay, the station formerly known as Premier Sports, and of course urc.tv, where you can watch all the matches in the competition for just $6.99 per month. Now, Leinster just named their starting lineup at lunchtime on Friday, so let's have a look, beginning with the back line. We've got Jimmy O'Brien at fullback. The wingers are Rob Russell and Jordan Larmour. The centers are Charlie Natai and Liam Turner, and the halfbacks, Jemison Gibson Park and Johnny Sexton, two of the stars from that documentary.
Here we go. Like this is the start for proper going into the big games. And I think 9 and 10, that's the lads trying to get minutes in the boots again. But if you look at our certainly my player of the season so far, Jimmy O'Brien, he's back in there. And it's just scanning through it, it's a great mix, as we keep talking about, of relative inexperience is beside a leader. Now our midfield is Charlie's coming on, the penny's dropping, but Liam Turner in there as well. Is that a risk? I don't think it's a risk. It's interesting how they haven't played. Usually they put Henshaw in, or not Henshaw, excuse me, Ringrose in there beside a relative newbie, but we've got to rest. Obviously he's got a lot of miles on the clock this year. Larmour coming back, he's hungry now for that jersey. Every single jersey he can get. Had an unfortunate run with injury. I'm happy with it, and obviously 9 and 10 ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, Liam Turner, I mean, I keep saying it, the stock seems to be rising at the province. They're showing a lot of faith in him. He's when it's a big game, they're a bigger game, maybe like, no disrespect to Connacht, but like last week against down at Thomond Park, he made the bench at 23. And now we've got this New Year's Day fixture, and he's right in there in that crucial 13 role. There's other ways they could have gone with that, but they're showing faith in him, and he's really gone up, and he's pairing with Charlie Natai, who's having a great season. He's improving every week. He knows the Leinster way of things. You feel every reason to feel confident about that entire back line. Okay, so we'll move over to the forwards now, and the front row is Michael Milne, Ronan Kelleher, and Michael Alatoa. Second row, Brian Deeney and James Ryan, and the back row, Ryan Baird, Josh Fender-Flair, and Kylan Doris.
So they've done what we say in terms of putting a leader beside relative inexperience. So they've done that with Ryan. Great to get him back in. Kelleher, you can see how hungry that guy is. And I think that he is playing. He's not playing for a jersey, but he's playing for his place. Alatoa is a different player, obviously, to our other number 3, Big Beef. But I think he's underrated. I think we underrate what he does. Second row, as we said, with Ryan in there, and then we jump into the back row, which is that should be behind a paywall. That back row.
Absolutely. It's a big game for Michael Milne, I think, in particular, because with Ed Byrne being injured and stuff, we're going to be looking towards further down our pecking order to see who can put in a shift going into the big matches this year. And also Ryan Baird, a lot of people said he played in the second row down in Thomond Park, but I think I think we're all kind of becoming to agree that that 6 is his ideal position. He learned a lot with Scott Fardy, who ironically was here as a lock, but we all know that 6 is kind of the position he made his name for at test level, and I think Ryan Baird learned a lot from him, and I think that trio there could be our best combination when they're all firing. So that's definitely worth seeing. Okay, so we'll move on to the bench now, and in the forwards, we've got John McKee, Marcus Hannon, and Vakhtang Abduladze, Alex Soroka, and Scott Penny. And the backs are Cormac Foley, Harry Byrne, and Jamie Osborne.
Yeah, again, it's a nice bench. Jamie Osborne is at least a 23 in every squad that is going to be picked if he's fit. There's a lot of new faces in there, so I think they're kind of looking at maybe getting the job. I've got to watch the phrasing here. I'm going to be nicer now towards the end of the year. They're trying to build the scoreboard up in and around the 55-60 so that these guys can get on and kind of maybe get Johnny and Gibson Park off. Scott Penny, love Scott Penny. Harry Byrne needs a run, and again with the World Cup coming up, there's no pressure on him now. So I think someone should have a chat with him and say, just chill, work your way through the process, work your way back to full fitness, and you're ready to rock and roll. Don't worry about it. You're a kid. Just chill. And the less the more starts he gets off the bench, the better for him between the years, as we build him back up. But yeah, happy to go, ready to rock and roll. Jamie Osborne's worth twice the price of admission, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, another feature from the Thomond Park match was that we didn't use the bench as much as we could have. We had Ross Byrne playing right to the end and all this kind of stuff. There was subs that were unused. I think we're going to see a lot more from this bench. Like I say, Marcus Hannon as well. We need to look at our props, prop options. John McKee as well. But no, definitely Harry Byrne is someone who's definitely needs game time. And the hope would be that we could maybe drag out the cotton wool a bit for Mr. Sexton at some point, and at the same time give Harry some much needed game time. Which, you know, when you look at Frawley's out as well long term, we do need more options there. So we'll see how that goes.
And can I just say one thing? Just one thing in relation to the game last week. I had Leinster plus 12. I want to apologise to our Munster brothers and sisters. We're going to finish the year holding hands with each other. It was a great shift by Munster. They were ready to rock and roll. Now let's see them do that for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Okay, so now it's time to have a look at our opposition, which of course is Connacht. And as ever, my graphics department will put the names on the screen down below, or if you're listening on the podcast, they can be found in the program notes. So what do you make of their lineup?
Yeah, I love the fullback. O'Halloran is always worth the price of admission. Hawkshaw, there's always revenge on his mind. Carty's always good to go. I think the front row may fancy their shot this week, or on the first, excuse me. They might fancy their shot. I do like Peter Dooley. I think he's a good operator at one. Obviously the hair on Robertson McCoy is coming from a bald man, it's magic. But I do think that front row, they're going to try and put a lot of pressure on Mill and Alatoa and see if they can squeeze something out. Because if you look at kind of generally how the two teams play, they both pass, they both offload. There's going to be a lot of work going on. But Connacht have conceded less penalties. So I think they're going to try and find somewhere to squeeze penalties out of Leinster, because that's our one issue this year. An issue this year is the penalties conceded. So I think they may fancy trying to have a squeeze in that front row and try and squeeze a couple of mistakes out of our 1 and 3 and see if we can do it from there. Because they do have an advantage in giving away penalties, in that they've done it far less than we have.
Yeah, and just to look at things from their point of view, obviously the top 8 makes the playoffs, and that's what they're aiming for. They have a good chance in Europe as well, the Challenge Cup. But when it comes to making that top 8 and getting into next year's Champions Cup, there's a big group of teams around the middle of that 8th position. And this is round 11 of 18. I mean, the games are going to start running out. So they can't they can't consider this a game they need to throw away, whatever team we're putting out. So they do have to go for it. Jack Carty wasn't at his best last time out, maybe against Ulster. So, but we know he can put in a good performance at the RDS. It doesn't hold any fears for him. So if he can get the game by the scruff of the neck and use some of the talent around him, they could put it up to us, and they really need to. So it's important to get off to a good start. Okay, so now we're going to look at the match officials. This is the referee is Owen Cross, who's only making his 7th appearance in this competition, but they're the officials there on the screen. The weather forecast, now we're recording a couple of days ahead, so this could change, but at the moment it says the Sunday night's going to be a lot of rain, 5 degrees. It's nighttime kickoff with the westerly winds, and so that's that, which leaves us with putting our heads on the block now, and it's our prediction time. So we'll start with what you think is going to happen on Sunday night.
I got rattled last week. I got it very, very wronger than usual. I do think this might be closer than I initially think. I think if Leinster can put the squeeze on early, it'll be a big score. But I think Connacht are ready to rock. I'm going to go Leinster by 5, maybe.
Wow. Okay. But the bookies have it 20. For games like this, I want to challenge them. It doesn't mean I assume we're going to get a big score, but I'm going to go above the predicted. I'm going to say 25. That's not meaning I'm like, I think we're definitely going to beat them or whatever. We all know these days a lot can go wrong. There could be a red card. There could be someone off form. There could be anything can happen to make a difference in the game. But I'm going to say 25 because I do like to challenge them. I want them to push all the way to the end, regardless of the scoreline. So we'll see how that goes. But it could go the other way very easily. And that just leaves Ulster against Munster.
Yeah, I think it's Munster. I think Munster are going to win it. Jeannie Mac, something's happened to me at the end of
Are
this
you
year.
okay? Are you all right?
It's all the ham in my system.
Is that some kind of mind control device you got wearing on there? What's going on?
Yeah, these are Munster Incorporated headphones. Yeah, no, I think they're on a roll, and I think Ulster are still very delicate. So if they can do the same thing they did last week, I don't know if Ulster can mentally get their way back. They will come back, obviously, but I think if Munster can do it from early like they did last week, then I think then they're going to win.
Yeah, and what I said about Connacht, it applies as well for Munster. I mean, that group around that middle, that 8th spot it's looking more ominous for them, if anything. And they really can't afford another loss. Now, I've gone for Ulster by 10. I think that they've had such a horrible time of it, and they were even denied playing in front of their home fans for a big match a couple of weeks ago. So they're going to have like 16th, 17th, and 18th man in the crowd at Ravenhill on the evening. So I think that might push them. I'm going for them for a 10-point win. But then again, it should be a great game because Munster really need to produce the goods as well, so we'll see how that goes. Right, man, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks to Keego for joining me for another preview show, and to you, the viewers and listeners, have a happy new year. I hope to see you at the RDS on Sunday, and also be sure to join the conversation on Mastodon throughout the match, and maybe head over to our Facebook page at Full Time and leave your thoughts there. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.
Cheers. Happy New Year.